Okay, welcome.
I know we hate to put you on the spot like this, but you know, we don't know much about our family, really.
I forget
Well, I can talk and all this.
Well, I told you could correct them if they say something that's not right, you just correct them.
I can't hardly remember anything.
I know how much I appreciate and like to see the one of Grandma Shell and Aunt Pearl. So this is just as important. Okay, this is an easy one for Nelson and Ron. How many acres did you farm?
About 340, I guess it was.
340. How about you, Nelson?
I don't know, 160 or,
Enough to keep you plenty busy.
yeah.
How many dairy cattle did you milk?
Well, we milked 60 at it.
50.
Sounds good. Okay, this is getting a little bit deeper. I hate that the rest of them aren't going to be here to hear this, but they'll see it online. What advice can you give us for our lives? That's deep.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to answer that one.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, just,
We'll pass on that one. Okay. Next one's not much better. What is the secret to success in life?
I don't know. Am I a success?
Hard work would be
Be hard work and I don't know.
yeah, just stay with it and get it done, I guess.
What are some of your favorite memories throughout your life?
Well, this is gonna be one of them.
For us, for sure, too. What's your favorite memory, Mom?
What is this for me?
I remember a cigar out in the sun.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell that one.
Do you guys know she did that?
No.
She
Smoked
found,
a cigar.
she found an old cigarette butt on the ground and lit it up and smoked it.
A cigar.
I mean, cigar butt.
Was
That
that
was
you?
just a little thing.
Was that you?
Yeah. But you didn't know me then.
No. Yeah, I didn't know you'd do anything like that.
You're
I
finding
didn't
out stuff now.
She said it made her so sick she laid on a board or something out in the sun.
I couldn't make
Yeah.
it to the house. And Dad walked by and said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing." He knew something was wrong. Well, Mickey and I went up and there was a little corn crib up over the where the hogs stayed, and me and Mickey smoked a little cigarette up there, and we got sick of the dog then, but we didn't smoke anymore after that. We used to climb up on the barn roof and slide all the way down. It was tin roof and slide all the way down and hit the top of the hog house. But Dad didn't care if we'd done that. And Ed and I went to, is Ron still here? Ed's still here.
Well, there's Ed.
And
Yeah, he's the one that'd be the best at this.
you know, he can remember the things and
So we'll
talk.
back up and ask a couple questions again.
Well, I'm so glad you came back, Ed.
What'd you say?
I'm so glad you came back here.
They come and said somebody wanted
Yeah, they
something.
want to
I was
ask
on my way.
questions and wants answers. and
I was
you're
one way.
You're the one that'll answer it.
I can't hear. I can't hear anything in here.
Well, if you can talk, though.
I can do that. You ain't kidding.
Okay, I'm going to ask this one again. Ed, this will be for you since they've already had it. What are some of your favorite memories throughout your childhood?
Everything. Everything. Yeah, we had a good childhood.
Anything stick out more than something else?
Not that I can.
Don't you remember going squirrel hunting with me? When you had a rifle and I had a rifle? And
Yeah.
You remember that? We was just
Yeah.
little kids and
No, we was great big guys with
we
them.
wasn't very big guys.
Did you
Yeah.
get any?
No, we got leaves
If there
and
was any meanness going on, she'd lead me into it.
No,
I believe that.
no.
Well, after
Then I'd have
hearing
to-
the smoking stories.
Yeah.
Well, that was me and Mickey.
I have a question, or it's not a question. Tell us something about Grandpa Silas. We don't know anything about him.
He's just a good old fella.
I remember the whipping they gave me when we went squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
We
He didn't do it too often, but
No,
he
we
thought
got,
you
that's,
needed it. You
we
got
didn't do it anymore. We was walking around with them guns on our back feeling like we was millionaires and we looked up at the gate and there stood Dad. So I think that was the hardest spanking I ever got. And
Well, I can't remember a word.
you
about
can't
that.
remember it. Well, you was with me.
Well, might have been.
Well, I know you
If
was.
there's any meaning, sir, I wasn't in on it.
How old were you guys when he died?
I think I was about 8, I think.
Let's see.
You were
I
16.
was 19.
Yeah, I was 16.
Nelson was.
I was 5,
So you really
4 or 5.
You don't
Yeah,
really
he was just
remember
a
him either
baby.
then.
I remember the day of the accident.
Do you? Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Here's a question that says asking for a friend. It's for Nelson. Ask Nelson who his favorite daughter is. We better not answer that one.
Are they
All
you
of
been here?
All of them.
Which one's I say Laura now because Laura's in here.
Okay, next question. Which family members served in what wars?
Dad in World War One, and Czech and Art in World War Two. And Art
They
was
call
right
me
in
a
that.
Korean.
Huh?
Ed was
Nelson
in
of
Korean.
Yeah,
Vietnam.
Nelson was in,
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
which one was it?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. And
Somebody.
Ed was in
I was in
Korea.
Korea. Korea, I wasn't over in Korea, but I was in they called me, they said you're a veteran, a Korean coach you was in at that time.
At the,
But I was never in Korea.
I remember when you were in Nam because I used to write your letters. You remember getting those letters?
I
Probably pretty dumb.
well, no, that was something you always,
A letter, any kind of letter when you're military, ain't nothing to dumb. It's all welcome, man.
I just wasn't a very good letter writer.
Yeah, I don't think you wrote once or twice, but I remember writing you.
You couldn't understand what it said anyway, huh?
Yeah, it was
Probably
good.
pretty busy.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember one time in basic, we was in basic training and we never thought too much of the rations and I went to get the mail, big old box here. And I opened it up and it was from Pearl and she had baked cookies.
Wow.
oh,
Man, they didn't last long.
You were a popular fella all of a sudden.
The whole company was breaking on them.
Okay, here's another one. What is a funny or fond memory of the baby Nelson?
I tell you, one time he scared us to death. He drank some coal oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
he got
remember
over
I
it.
kind of remember it. I was pretty small then
Yeah,
too.
but
But I could,
You remember when he done that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I can remember
Uh,
that. Yeah.
I'll tell you why it happened. So a person never ought to do that. Somebody told Mom that you wash windows with a little bit of coal oil, you know, said they'd shine and, okay. She had somebody to get them a little bit of coal oil, a pop bottle. And it wasn't hardly none in it, but she's sitting in there and he was a little fella and come along, you know, everybody has a pop bottle and looked at me. He picked it up and just took a swallow of it. Fell over just like, like a,
We almost lost you.
he took, we lived, it was probably a mile over where the car was. And then they had to take him over and get the car and go to town. Then they sent him back to the hospital. They said, when they pumped that coal oil out of his stomach, they said you could smell that coal oil.
Yeah.
Then he opened his eyes and away he went.
That was over at Salt Creek, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Huh?
That was over at Salt Creek, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Across the
that was
river.
it.
yeah.
You can remember that?
Yeah, I can remember that. A few little, not real
Yeah,
good,
you-
but I can remember.
I don't
You was
remember it.
getting up, you was going to school by that time, wasn't you? Probably.
Would you,
Well, no, I wouldn't have been in school yet.
Yeah.
I would have been, well, I wouldn't have been very old.
do you remember my ducks I used to have?
I remember Pearl having some. And,
Doing what?
I remember,
Ducks,
I remember,
ducks that mallard ducks that I kept.
I can't hardly hear, man.
Oh, the mallard ducks that I.
Oh, yeah. Over there, before we left over at Sunman,
Yeah.
where we lived, one winter day, we was coming along and down, it was real big snow on the ground, and here come 3 ducks walking down the road, those wild ducks. And I guess they starved out, and they come walking down the road and walked in. And
They
stayed
turned in
up.
our lane.
And about Maddie, everything was, you know, she'd pet anything and everything, make no difference what it was. It was a black snake. She caught it, she'd have petted it. But anyway, them ducks come walking in, and there was 2 ducks and a drake. Well, one of them made a mistake and got over in the old sow's lot. He didn't last very long. But it wasn't too long after that, then we moved to Salt Creek. And that one duck, it had laid off a bunch of eggs, and it was blue. You remember that? It had blue in it. And it was set on them and hatch them. And before we left over in Salt Creek, there was hundreds and hundreds of them ducks everywhere.
They were my ducks, and
And
everybody had to leave them alone.
Dad said they were wanting them since night. I think he said they'll bring $5 a piece. She'd start screaming, "You ain't gonna take my ducks."
My neighbor wanted one for Christmas dinner, and I didn't know it, and she gave her one for Christmas dinner, and I cried till I was sick. What about somebody eating one of my ducks?
They could fly. They'd fly away and fly on.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I had
and
gone
here they
through.
come.
I
There's
love
about
them
500
ducks.
of them when we left over there.
but you remember your pig and coon?
Coon, I remember I had a pig, and it growed up, and then I can't remember how we got the coon. How did we get? But they were the best of friends. That
Yeah.
pig, and it'd ride on the pig's back. And let's see, my Uncle Charlie came one time, and Dad had told me, said, "You're going to have to get rid of the big pig because it's getting too big to run around loose, you know." And Uncle Charlie said, "I'll take that pig, and I'll take good care of it." And I believed him. I was that stupid. And I thought it was having a good time at Charlie's house. He owned a restaurant. So my pig was a lot of people's dinner. But I didn't know that for later on. So he's not my favorite of them.
That coon, and that pig, it was inseparable. Where one was at, the other one was. If they went to sleep, they'd be touching. Okay, she got rid of the pig. That coon would just go the country over, crying and looking and cooking. It done that for about a month, and then it disappeared. I guess it went back to being wild. But that had to go around. He'd go to the barn, the house. He'd go over just crying, looking for a great big old hog, you know, that coon looking for it.
They slept together and everything.
What schools did you go to in elementary?
Day school and Laurel School.
How about you, Ron?
We went to Terry out there. Forest.
Terry, yeah.
it was
Elsie
called-
Maines?
Yeah,
Yep.
Elsie
Yep.
Maines, yeah. I think she started there the first year that I did.
I have fond memories of that. I guess I can say.
Yeah, I guess you went there. Did you go there too, or did you?
No, I was about 4. I started first grade when I was 5 years old, but Friday was town day with Mom, and every now and then she'd drop me off at Terry's school and the one across from Oak Forest Grocery, and I colored my heart's content while the rest of them were in school, and Mom went grocery shopping. So I remember both of them.
Yeah.
I thought I was a big shot.
I remember Terry's school where Elsie, the mains or the teacher or whatever, she'd get hungry and she'd wanted volunteers to walk up to the store and get it.
Yeah.
So I got in on that every time we went. I was at least one of them. I got
You did that too, Ron. You got
Yeah,
her,
I
you
walked
got
to
her
the
a
store
Pepsi and
several times to get.
Yeah,
get a-
candy
give you a
bar
list
or
of-
something.
bring
I mean, it'd be,
it'd take a pretty good while to walk to a forest. Back
Yeah.
Yeah, for Terry School would, yeah.
well, you know, you was really in a big hurry when you went and done it.
Yeah, I got a long recess that time.
What are any nicknames that you guys grew up with?
What was it, Nelson, we used to call you?
Muscles.
Eye pockets was one.
Yeah, muscles.
I know
He
Buddy
had
used
big
to,
old muscles.
how did he say it? He'd have to get me a
was
big
Peter
pair of
Rabbit,
gloves
I
or
remember.
something
You
so I
remember
didn't have
being
my
Pete?
hands in my pockets all the time. when they were
You
doing
remember being Pete?
Yeah,
Yeah, Pete.
yeah. Wesley still calls me Pete. Or
Yeah.
Pete, you know, still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was, my skinny arms and everything, and they called me Muscles. you know, so.
Yeah.
Did you have a nickname, Ed?
Not to know of.
What was your most memorable chore as a child? Bet there was a lot of chopping and carrying wood, I bet.
Well, mine was milking. Me and Ronald had to do the milking all the time.
And who would know you'd grow up and do it for a living?
Do it for a living, yeah.
I didn't do it that long.
I know one thing that I did that they told me I did that I don't remember, but I was just little. When they milking time, that I'd get me a cup and go to the barn and drink. They'd fill my cup with milk, and I'd drink as much as I wanted. Makes me feel gross right now.
Well, that was the freshest it was. There
Right,
wasn't no
yeah.
better than that.
I used to,
Yeah, but I don't like milk now.
I would drink that milk, and then as you're milking, you could squirt it in your mouth
Yeah.
with it and drink it. And then the strainer, when you strained it, it foamed up, and you could get your hands in the foam and eat that. That was,
Dad always was. He was 100% allergic to milk. He couldn't. One drop would make him so deathly sick he couldn't hardly live. So Mom always had to cook two different ways. Everything he was cooked with could not have no milk about it, and then so she always did had two separate places. Boy, one time we was been logging. I was helping him. We'd logged all day, hauling logs on the old truck. And it'd been way in the evening. We just got. It was getting dark actually. We stopped to get gas in the old truck, and while he went in to pay for the gas, he got 2 candy bars. I can imagine how hungry he was. I know I was. And he gave me one. We was going down the road, and he opened his up, and he just started. He got his teeth just barely started in that candy bar. Instead of throwing it my way, it went flying. Boys, man, I wish you'd thrown it this way. He could taste that milk just like if he would have took a bite of it, why, probably had took him to the hospital. And he was that allergic to. Nelson said he never knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yep.
That's why Mom, she never could cook with milk.
If she wanted to, if she wanted to cook something with milk,
Yeah, it'd be
she'd make
separate.
two different meals.
Yeah, I guess I always know Dad.
Yeah.
Huh?
I always know Dad, you know, he was allergic to milk.
Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't be around the drop of it.
Okay. Where was he from?
He was born in Kentucky, same as Mom. They always, Mom and Dad, there's 2 dads, Grandpa Shell and Grandpa Estridge was always buddies. They was just bosom buddies wherever if Grandpa Shell would move on to another place, a different county, it wouldn't be any time till Grandpa Estridge to be living there. They fox hunted together and well, they done everything together. Well, when they got grown, when Dad got back from the army, him and Mom got together and they got married not too long after he got back from World War II.
That kind of leads into the next question. Someone wants to know your grandparents' names. So what was Grandma Shell's mom and dad's name?
Martha and John Estridge.
Okay, and who was her dad's name?
Grandma Estridge's dad, he was a Bodkins.
Bodkins, okay.
I
And
don't know what his first name was.
who was Silas's mom and dad? What was their names?
Their names was John and Mary. John and Mary Shell. She,
We never knew.
her maiden name was York.
Heard anything about
York?
her?
Yeah.
See, I never did meet
If you
him. They
ever
never-
heard of Sergeant
Sergeant
York,
York?
you know,
I guess
they were first cousins.
Yeah.
The Sergeant York, it was the decorated guy in World War
Yeah.
I. They were first cousins, so it took grandmother York. None of us ever knowed them because Grandpa Shell died in 1920, and she came and lived with Mom and Dad. And when Art was born, he was born in 25. She died that year, so we didn't come along till 30 and later. But they was already dead and young. Grandpa Shell died with a heart attack when he was 59 years old. Grandma wouldn't been too far behind. Well, 5 years later when she died.
Here's a toughie. Someone wanted to ask you, Mom, what was your favorite memory with Dad?
There was a lot of them. I don't know what would
That'd
be.
be a hard one to answer.
Too many to pick from.
Huh?
Too many to pick from.
Can you tell us about a big trip you might have taken with the family?
We took so many trips that we went everywhere, out west, Florida.
What'd you see out west?
Mountains.
About climbing up in them Indian.
Yeah, we
Things.
climbed up through them Indian mounds and all that kind of
Ruins,
stuff. And we went to Mexico, and I was scared the whole trip we went there, but we made it.
She climbed up one of these, what they call them, cliff dwellers.
Yeah, the cliff
Okay,
dwellers.
she went up the ladder. You had to go way up the ladder where they lived up there. Okay, she got about 2/3 of the way up there. She wouldn't go no further, she wouldn't come down, so they had to go up and help her down.
I saw it.
They
Yeah,
was
that
used
was,
to
that was
that.
a trip, I'll tell you. When we was in Mexico, he wanted to go to see these, what was it they dug out of the ground? Right now, I can't think of the place. And they were steps that went so far up you couldn't see the top of them. And I said, now, there's no way that I'm gonna climb up them steps. I couldn't do it. I could go up a few, and then I said, I'm sorry, I can't go with you. And he went off. When he got up to the top of them, he looked just like he's about that size. And there's some man sitting up there too. And that man was just froze. He could not move. And Bud said, well, come on, I'll help you go down. I'll sit here and I'll scoot down and then I'll hold your hand and you can scoot down. And it took him forever to get that man. And I've thought about that so much. If he hadn't went up there, I don't know what would happen to that man. He couldn't have got down. He was scared to death. He was froze.
When it got dark, he could have
Somebody asked who those three people in that picture in the back are. I'll just say the one on the left was Grandma Shell.
Yeah,
The one in the middle was
Delia.
Delia, and the one on the right was Aunt Pearl.
Mhm.
Aunt Pearl Eversole. The one in the middle was the one that fell on the corn stalk and died when she was young. And I think that's all the questions that we have.
No, there's more. I want to hear more. I'm not done. No, what did our grandpa do for a living? What did he do? What, you know, to
Well,
support us?
when we was growing up, there was a tremendous depression going on. Nobody could get work nowhere, but he built houses. He was a good carpenter. He had
Drove
big
a school
basement.
bus.
And then, years later, he got drove a school bus. But he farmed and he was a wonderful carpenter. I mean, everybody had him building houses and things. But you know how much he made? 50 cents an hour.
Wow.
If he had 10-hour days, he'd come home with $5.
What year were you born, Ron?
41.
41.
Yeah.
You're 32.
44.
44. And what year were you born, Ed?
30,
30. Same year Dad was born.
1930.
So where's
Him
all
and
the
Bud
places
was the
you
same
live?
age.
Where's all the places you guys live?
Different year.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You want me to tell you what?
1930.
Since how many everybody lived when they
I was
moved out
born
of
in
Kentucky.
32.
Mom and Dad moved to
1932.
Brookville, and there moved up to Metamora, about 2 different places, and then they went over across Pipe Creek. The river over there by Pipe Creek. That's where I was born. And then we moved to Osgood. Maddie and Geneva, Mickey was born over there at Osgood. Then we moved to Aurora, and then back over to Sunman,
Yeah.
and then back over to Salt Creek, and then over there where Dad got killed.
Were you all born at home or in hospital?
Everybody was born in the home now.
So where were you born now?
Sunman.
And you, Ronnie, where were you born?
I was at Solomon, yeah.
Same place over there.
How old was I when we was over there where I got all them ducks when
Over on Salt Creek?
yeah.
Well, you got the ducks come over there.
I know, but I got appendicitis.
Yeah.
And Dad we couldn't get the car in because you couldn't get across the creek. And Dad had to carry me about a mile. And I was a big kid because I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. So I had the surgery, and when I was waking up, Mom said, I said, you tell them to take bread and water and feed my little ducks.
Let's see. We moved over there in 1944.
I was a great big kid. He had to carry me.
1942. So she was born in about 32, wasn't you?
Yeah.
She'd have been about 12.
I remember when you lived at Grandma's, and you were still there as a teenager.
Yeah.
was
I
little,
remember.
but
I remember one time when Dad was already dead, and Ronald got sick. He got real sick. Took him over, and they said, well, he had to go to the hospital and get operated on for appendicitis. So I took Ron over to Batesville, and I got them in, and then I had to go park the car. I come around to park the car, and then I wanted to come in and see how they was doing, and it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't remember you having finished
Had to
that.
get him
Yeah,
or get him
back
operated on.
still Terry School.
Heard the office screaming, and you could never hear
See,
him.
I had
If
it
you
when I
take
was
one
older.
more step, I'm gonna jump.
About 13 or something.
I didn't know what to do, and I looked up and way at the top of the
But I
hospital,
wouldn't have been that old.
There was
No,
a lady
yeah.
standing in the window.
Isn't that something,
And,
some things you remember and some
I'd
things you
sort of go in, I was innocent going in the hospital. I'm going to jump if you take it. I know where you've been. And it just went on like that. And finally, a lady in the hospital stuck her head out the door and said, what's going on out there? I kind of pointed up, and boy, they went then. It wasn't very long she was out of the window, but I never did know what would happen if I'd have stuck a step or two in, you know. It was tempting to. Funny things can happen to you, can it? I don't know how she got loose up there. I thought she was on the top floor of that Batesville Hospital, standing in the window. She'd lean way out. I wasn't going to try to catch her. You guys can't remember that, can you?
No,
Ron can't either.
I can remember when he had appendicitis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
That wasn't a
remember
good
too.
feeling, was it?
And that's something I've never had. I still got mine.
I got out a lot of chores after that.
It's worth it, huh?
Yeah,
You know,
I remember when Chuck had his too, he was,
man,
that was really
he was
in
a
bad
sick
shape.
fellow, wasn't
I think I was in the service center and I come home and he was in the hospital.
yeah, I done milking and everything for Chet whenever he had
Yeah.
that. I had to go down there and milk at home, then go down there and milk.
Maybe I wasn't, I don't know. I remember seeing him in the hospital. And
he?
I just, I didn't think he was gonna
Yeah.
make it.
A little bit, he would have. He got what they call got gangrene from appendix.
Well, they
He
couldn't
was-
figure out what was wrong
I
with
know
him.
it. They say his
He was
appendix
in
was the wrong place.
In the wrong place.
He-
That's like
he
me.
was
I got
backwards.
things in the wrong place too.
It's always a little odd.
Yeah.
I thought I was the odd one.
Yeah, they doctored him and said he couldn't have appendicitis. But when they just about lost him.
And you don't remember that? Do you?
I remember whenever he had the appendicitis, but I don't remember what they were talking about.
He,
Oh,
when Dad got killed, it was my job there for about pretty near a year. I spent 2/3 of my nights over in Oldenburg, so there's a doctor over there. I had to take her to that doctor just at least 2 nights a week. And she did that for pretty nearly a year, and then she went over to Metamore to take care of Grandma and Grandpa, and she never come back for about a year, did she?
Yeah.
A year or two.
I was just handed, what games did you play when you were little?
School was Andy over. I remember that.
Yeah, they used to
Throwing
be
the
a
ball
lot of-
over the-
used to be a lot of that.
Marbles.
I don't guess hide and seek, I mean, just little games like that, I guess, something I
Right.
can remember.
A little bit of softball or, this was at school. I don't, at home, we didn't have time to play games.
That kept you busy.
Yeah, at school, it had to be softball, you couldn't, I
Right.
mean, like a sponge ball, you couldn't use
Yeah,
a
it was
hard ball.
sponge ball.
when we were kids, we'd play out in the yard and catch lightning bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember one time we was at school, Art was always, he was 5 years older than me, so he's grown whenever I was this boy, you know, but we had a ball team there, and we played the school down the road. And the most the kids that ever went there was 30, and it was usually just from 20 or so less. And our ball team, we just got everybody. So Geneva was just a great big girl, and she had to be the pitcher, and Art was the batter. That was he was a big stout guy, you know. So Art was the batter, and Geneva was the pitcher. Yeah, she pitched the ball up to him, and that was fine. He hit it, really hit it. He come back and hit her right here. Ooh, boy, she went down and out for I bet she can remember that. It takes every bit of the wind out of you, you know, you can't breathe.
Well, I remember playing when we was kids at school, running dare base or something, and we was running. And I was running around this way, and Dale Platt. Dale Platt, my brother-in-law now, ran around and hit me right in the nose with his forehead and broke my nose.
They run together just like.
Boy, I can almost remember that.
You can feel it now.
Yeah.
What was your favorite meal growing up?
All of
It's all we could get.
But Grandma was a good cook.
Yes,
Yeah,
very good.
She can make a meal out of everything, couldn't she?
Yeah.
If it was just cornmeal mush, it was still a
Yeah.
meal.
I remember in the springtime, she'd go out and we thought that she'd just pick weeds.
them. You're always picking greens
Yeah.
on the road.
Anything turned green in the
Yeah.
spring, you had
That
it on
was,
the table.
they were delicious. I mean,
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
she'd pick a few leaves of this and a few leaves of that and mix it all up.
Yep.
And one of it, I remember very much, it was lamb's quarter
Yeah.
Yep.
and curly dock
Yeah.
and
Dandelion.
Dandelions,
Yeah.
watercress.
well,
Remember that.
there wasn't too much of that.
I don't think we had much watercress
I
around
don't think, I can't remember there being very much of that.
I remember going to Grandma's after church sometimes for dinner. She'd go out in the barnyard, grab 2 chickens, ring net, pluck the feathers, fix it, and that's what we had for dinner right after
Right.
church.
Yeah.
I did that a lot when I was a kid.
Couldn't get more fresh than that.
I went and
I
got,
know that.
I went and got a lot of chickens for her whenever she did.
She taught me how to do that, and how to clean them and everything.
I
How
tried
long
to
did you work?
wring
I
her,
couldn't do that now.
I'd try to wring her neck and it'd be that long. Never did get it
You
off.
ought to hear, you to hear the chicken tail. Mike and Denny, they'd always go over and stay, when, on Friday night, that was their job to go over and stay at Grandma. And she told them boys, she said, go out there and catch me one of them big roosters and I'll fix us some dumplings tomorrow. So they went out and caught her a big rooster. She said, well, take it out there to the chopping block and cut his head off. The 2 little boys, they go out there, they laid the old rooster down there, they get the axe and they chop and the old rooster put his head over here. They get it all ready, they chopped it. She got tired of waiting, she had to wet her ready. Here she come, what's the matter, boys? They still laugh about that. No.
Well, I remember her going out and telling me to get an old rooster and chop his head off, and I did.
Yeah.
Only I just hit half of its neck, and I put it down and thought it was going to die, and it jumped up and ran off. And it went out of the barn, and I couldn't get it, so I had to catch another rooster. And the rooster lived, and he went around with his head like that. And Dad, Mom would ask, "What's wrong with that old rooster?" And I said, "I don't know."
I tell you what happened one time. That was probably just right after Dad got killed. We always farmed with horses, and
Yeah.
had the old wagon, you know, the wooden wheels. That didn't matter. And for some reason, we was putting in hay in the barn. Instead of using the wagon, we might even got rid of the horses. I can't remember. But I used the old truck. Went out in the hay and I had this loose hay. It didn't have bale hay. It had loose. And you'd have a load though. It was completely loaded, and it'd be down to the ground. You couldn't see nothing, you know. So I went to eat dinner. And Mom said, "Well, get out there and get me a big rooster and I'll have it for supper." Okay, that's fine. I went out there and walking around. I'm going to get him pretty quick, so I had the 22. I went out there and them, he's everywhere around here. Finally, this one got it, stuck his head way up, and I went and shot him, and that was gone. I got the rooster, but there was a truck out there, the old car went, I forgot about it. Then I had tar to fix for it.
I remember we had what we called the new ground. It was a long way away from our farm. And Mickey and I were just little, and we'd have hoes when he would plow. We would get the weeds that the plow would miss. And he stopped to rest, so I got on that with them horses and that plow, turned it around, put it in 2 rows, and went on down, plowing out more corn than weeds. And I got to the other end, I thought, I'm going to have to get this the tractor back. I mean, the horses back. So I turned it around and took 2 more rows and come back, and I tried my best to not plow out corn, but didn't work too good. And I got to the other end, and Dad said, well, maybe we better let the horses rest.
I remember you saying when you were planting, lot by hand, you plant a whole handful of seeds.
Yes.
Trying to, because you were tired and didn't want to.
Hurry up and get rid of them.
I think you were
And they'd
right.
come up, they'd all come up in
Big piles
patches.
of it.
But you didn't know
I
that
was
when
too
you
dumb to
was
know
planting.
that.
You don't think about that when you're doing it.
No, I didn't
Funny
think about
thing
them
that
coming
happened
up.
one time. We moved over on Salt Creek, and there was a big tobacco base there. And it was right in the middle of World War II. And we were setting tobacco. Nick wasn't very big. She was a little girl. And Maddie and Geneva and me, we was a setting crew. Dad had dropped the tobacco, and we'd go along, and it was real muddy. You know, it had to have what they call ground ready before you could set it. We'd set tobacco, and he'd drop it. We came up and was quite a ways for you. Mick, I can just see her. We got to the end, he rested a while, and he started dropping plants back. And Nick said, I just can't go. I can't do it. I can't go another row. I'm wore out. Dad looked around at her, and Mick had trying to keep her clothes a little bit clean, you know. So she'd got a big old pair of Dad's overalls, and she was trying to wear them over her clothes. And they had gathered up so much mud, it bogged her down. Nick said, I can't go another round. I remember Dad laughing so hard. He said, Mick, get ready. Maybe you can go another. I can remember that just as well as anything. She said, I can't go another. She had 150 pounds of mud.
I remember in that same new ground, Dad was, we were not very big. We weren't very big at all. She was a little smaller than I was. And we went up to hoe the weeds out as he plowed. And it came up the hardest rain you ever saw. And it was raining so hard. And Dad put me on one horse and Mick on one horse, and he said, just hang on to them knobs. And he said, don't worry about the horses, they'll know where to go. And they ran like the wind and turned in our lane, went in their stall, got in their right stall. And we were still hanging there, hanging on them. And he had to walk home all in that. It was the hardest rain I believe I ever saw.
What were your horses' names?
What was they? One was white and one was black.
Remember Maud and Bess?
Maud and
They
Bess.
were black and white.
I'd have said Bess and Maud. So.
One way or the other.
No, Bess was the white one, and Maud was the black
When you were growing up, how was your house heated?
How was my what?
How did you heat the house?
Was a wood stove.
So who got up in the middle of the night and put more wood in?
Probably Dad.
What
Wasn't
about hot
me.
water? You had to boil hot water on it, or do you have a tank?
Most of the time, he'd go out during the night, and you'd have to build another the next morning. Like usually,
Yeah.
nobody could have.
So what if you wanted to take a bath or something? What did you have to
Well,
do?
when we had a cook stove, it had a tank on it that filled with water, and that kept hot water.
Yeah.
It also had a warming closet, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know what a warming closet was.
I know I come home from school every night and got in there and got the morning's biscuits out and soaked them, you know.
It was
Eat 'em.
good too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they could sit in there all day and take a little milk and soak them up.
They'd get kind of hard in there during the day, but they'd,
And the stoves, what they're talking about, the cook stoves, It's like a cabinet above, but it was built in above it. And it had you open the drawers, and it's quite a bit of storage space in there. They call it the warming closet. There was no refrigerators. Anything that you wanted to keep, you'd put in there and for the next meal. That's what they was awful good, wasn't they?
Yeah.
The cook stove had a tank over on the side, the water reservoir. It holds about 6 gallons or so, and there's always hot water. You had to have a star in there,
The one on my stove now holds about 15 gallons.
about 15 gallons. Yeah. I know they hold a lot. I can't remember how many. There's a lot of. He always had hot water.
Yeah.
Wasn't scalding hot, but it was hot.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how cold it is outside. The colder it is, the hotter it is in there, because you keep the fire going down more.
For lots and lots of years. It was my job to get up and Mom wanted a good hot cook stove when she got out of bed. And my job to get up and get the cook stove going and make it good and hot, and then to get the heating stove going. But when she got up, she wanted a hot stove.
And all I can remember is every time I'd get up and go down, she'd have a hot fire going there.
Yeah.
I'd sit on top of it until it got so hot I'd have to
Good hot you couldn't.
move.
Geneva, when maybe that's before Maddie got big enough to do anything. We lived down there by Aurora, Wilmington. It was my job to keep all of the heating wood in because it was bigger. So much of it had to be stacked by the stove at night when it got night, so it'd be last all night and then have some over there. And it was Geneva's job then to carry this, that is split it up in a little bit, we called it cookwood. It was for the cook stove. It was my job to get that heating wood in. It was Geneva's job to get the cookwood in. It didn't hardly weigh nothing, didn't take very much of it. And I remember what a hard job it was to get her to do her part of that. I'd usually get mine, and I'd go back and get hers. And she'd do it, but she didn't like to. We hoed in the garden the same way. It was our job to keep the garden hoed out. We'd hoe and hoe and hoe. I'd be a bank and I'd say, come on, Geneva, let's go, let's get it done. I'm doing the best I can. One day I got to the end and she had about half of a row. She hadn't got through yet. I said, come on, let's go. And there's a piece of an old crock thing laying in the yard, where she's at. She picked it up and threw it at me as hard as she could. I didn't have time to duck. So I turned around real quick and it stuck in my backbone. I still got the big scar there. And, it was that piece of glass stuck in my backbone. I was out of commission for a little while.
Wow.
She just aggravated because I told her, let's hurry up and get it done. She didn't admit Geneva never did do much in a hurry.
I'll tell you one thing I done when I was mean. Geneva was in high school and I was in grade school. And she was painting a room at home and I wanted to help her paint and she would not let me. I said, just let me take one swipe and I'll be all right. She said, no, you're not taking one swipe. So she went to a different school and she'd leave before I would. And I would get her clothes and wear them to school and come back and hang them up dirty. I was mad at her because she wouldn't let me paint.
I'll tell you what, we lived over there, and it was a good mile across. I've thought about that so many times. It was a good mile across there over to where she had to catch the high school bus. And I wasn't old enough to go to high school yet. And it was bad winter. I mean, bad winters. Snow and everything. They'd put chains on the buses and go. They didn't have a day off. Geneva would get out in the mornings, walk across that, down there and had to go across the creek. And if the creek was up, you had to go across a big swinging bridge, up a pretty good sized hill and wait for the high school bus. Every day, she wouldn't miss a day, there's no way. And she would, I don't know, see, I still don't know how she kept from freezing to death. You know, you get out in the snow and walk a mile, across the creek and up, and then you never know what time the old school bus will be there. She would be there, she wanted the education, and she'd be there waiting on it.
And there's a little path that she had to walk,
Yeah,
then the water rushing. And it was pretty good, just a narrow place.
yeah.
But,
Go across the swinging bridge.
yeah, to get across the swinging bridge.
This path she's talking about was probably 30 foot above the road. It started up here on the level. And it gradually went up till the high as the swinging bridge. The swinging bridge had to be above the water level when it was in flood. And it was probably 30 foot tall.
You remember I used to call you
And you
Little Wabbit.
walk this little path.
Little Wabbit.
There's a bluff over on this side and a hill on the other side.
Clean the
Had
kitchen
this,
real good.
she's
and
right,
walk
there's a
and
little
then
narrow path.
you and Wayne
You
and
walked all the
Dolly
way up that
come
and
in
then
with
got
your
on
muddy
the
feet.
swinging bridge and went
And
across. And then you went
I
down some big
chased you all
steps.
outside. You remember
When you got
that?
down the steps and
No.
going up to school.
I'd chase you out and I'd
Dad
of
drove a
course,
school
you'd get
bus,
my
but
house dirty.
he drove
I
the
mean, Mom's house.
grade school bus. And the high school
No, I
bus,
don't,
they had to go
I know
all the way
me and
over
Wayne,
Fort
I know
Hill.
we got in trouble.
And
Yeah,
Geneva
I
was the
got-
first
I
one that
got
went to
you
high
along.
school. But she'd be there. I guarantee you, when that school bus stopped, she'd be sitting there if it was 10 below zero and the wind was blowing. She never had no big Eskimo clothes. She had a little coat, little swim coat, and I still don't know how she kept from freezing.
What sort of family traditions did you have growing up?
What?
Family tradition.
What'd you do at Christmas?
Christmas?
Made popcorn and caramel.
Yeah, from school, we'd have Christmas plays and we'd be in plays where we'd learn a little piece of,
Go down to the church down
yeah,
Hogan
to
Hill
the
and
Hogan
sing a
Hill
little piece
Baptist
of
Church.
you got to go up in front on the stage.
Yeah,
Be the-
I remember going up there, how proud I was with the
They'd
sergeant.
even have a curtain,
Yeah,
get everything ready and then pull the curtain back and here to be the audience, you know? That was big stuff.
yeah. There's only 2 kids in my class all the time. And she got anything in the world she wanted. She was spoiled, I guess. And
You
we had
remember her name?
Roberta.
Bumblebee.
Huh?
Bumblebee.
Yeah, well, I know they called her Bumblebee.
That's who she was, Bumblebee.
And
She's
now
got
you
this.
made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, we had a Christmas play at church, and they gave me a little bag of candy, which was great, you know. But when she opened up her present, it was a guitar. And I said, how come Santa Claus brought me just a little bag of candy and brought her that big guitar? I couldn't understand that. I remember it though.
So what'd you do at home for Christmas?
I don't know, just same thing, I guess. She'd probably fix a bigger meal and things like that.
You always had to go out and cut a tree for Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one Easter, I was just little, and I had an Easter basket, and I said, Check, where can I put this Easter basket? I was just gonna set it around somewhere, and he said, no, hang it up on that nail. I said, well, Easter Bunny couldn't climb up there to that basket, and he said, well, Easter bunnies can. So I hung it up there, and the next morning it had candy in it. I thought Easter Bunny climbed up to that nail.
They could climb, I guess.
Yeah.
Easter Bunny can do anything.
You
Yeah.
remember, Maddie, whenever we was pretty small, they at school, and especially down to church, they would take they'd learn you how you'd take 2 paper plates. Now, you'd think that's real simple now, you know, I mean, paper plates, but if a person had and they put them back to back, and you'd glue it halfway around, and cut one half out, made a little pocket here, and how proud them kids was to get them little paper plates with this little pocket. And you could paint it, you know, what you like to. Some of the kids nowadays, what in the world's that? I remember we made one time and brought it home and give it to Dad. And I remember he hung that up and put his valuables in it. I bet it was still in the old house over there, back in the closet.
Probably.
That little paper plate.
That's an awesome memory. Awesome.
You remember making them?
Mm-hmm.
Tell the story about getting ice cream at Nick Guard's corner.
Huh. That was me. Mickey was just a little thing. I was just a little bigger, and the neighbor girls were just a little bit bigger than we were. And they would their dad would give them the eggs, and so we would walk to Nick and Guard's corner. How many miles would that be?
Oh, probably 3.
3 or something like that. And they'd take the eggs, and then we could pick out what candy we wanted. And we did that all the time. And I can't remember too much. There was a log stretched across on the way home. It was just a tree that bent over, and all of us could sit on there.
That spring, where the spring was, where you get a drink in the spring.
We'd sit there and eat our candy, eat ice cream, or if we bought ice cream, whatever the eggs would buy, that's what we'd get.
This little girl she was talking about, her mother was dead. And
Yeah, their mother was
dad raised
dead.
them, and he wasn't a nice person. He was pretty rough on them.
No, he was a mean dad to them.
What about the time they thought Mom had drowned?
Yeah, it was Mickey. She was just a little thing. That was down on the creek. We missed her. We just had our house was by a creek, and we couldn't find her. One day they found her clothes out in the water in the creek, and they searched up and down and up and down and up and down. She wasn't very big,
She
and
was just almost a baby.
yeah, she was just probably she's just walking good. And they never could find her, and they thought she was drowned because they found her clothes. So everybody was out about to give up, and somebody opened behind the door in the bedroom.
In the closet.
There she lay,
She
sound
She
asleep
went in the closet.
in the closet or
Laid down
somewhere.
on the clothes.
Found
and
asleep, didn't know all that was going on.
Then was right at the yard was the creek. The creek was right in the yard. But it had a slope. It went down to it. And car tires wasn't very big then. Some way or another, they turned one inside out and they made it pretty wide, you know. And the little fellas could lay down in that and roll down that slope. And he just rolled in that tar. You remember that?
No, I don't remember.
And they thought Mick had rolled in that tar. And the creek was in flood, see, it happened to be a flood. And she had just went in the closet and went to sleep. She was happy she could be. They was hunting that creek for miles. It was in the yard. I mean, the big creek, it was a pretty good sized creek. It was Hogan Creek. And the house was up on a high place, and the yard went right down into the water. You know.
Yeah, she'd left her clothes down there in the creek, and that's what made them think she was drowned somewhere.
Yeah,
She didn't know what was going on.
that house we lived in was right on what they call, State Road 48, the one that comes out of Lawrenceburg and goes up Nickengard's Corner and through there. It goes on out to Napoleon now, but
When you
come down there and there was one lane
You
bridge.
do anything
It
as
was
excited
it was
as
the
you
main
guys
highway out of Cincinnati. And this
I was
one
a
lane
meeting.
bridge and
I was a
our
break.
barn sat here
I
and
guess.
trucks
Did
and
you
cars
know
had
we
to come
run
up
the
in the
other
barn
asphalt?
lot
do.
and get straight and go through that bridge. Mom always, as long as she
Yeah,
lived, she
we
called
always
it
be
the
a
crooked
sweep of the
bridge.
alley like 30 feet
That's,
or
if
something.
she ever heard her say we lived at the
Oh,
crooked
what?
bridge, that's where she was
Yeah,
talking
I
about
can
it.
remember some of that.
There in that creek.
Just
That,
barely.
Yeah.
that was funny. They, of course,
But
they,
that was with
different
Wayne
times now,
Donnie
they
too,
didn't have
Wayne Donnie River.
Yeah.
real modern, well, there's modern for them days, but them old cars and trucks would have to come around, come up here in the barn set here. They'd have to turn around the barn and come up in the barn lot and then get straight and go through that. Check and Art was quite a bit older. Barn was right here, big size barn. The people from the movies out in Highland want to put posters up, advertise their movies, you know. They'd come down there and boy, Check and Art, yeah, you can. They'd give them tickets to the movie. And all the movie posters would be on the side of the barn. Of course, the guy would be, come here. Right here's the barn, you have to turn. It's a pretty good place to advertise, I guess. Check and Art liked it. Them trucks, they had Greyhound buses too, but them semi trucks would get stuck in that one lane bridge. They'd drag their lights off and everything. It was steel, a steel bridge, and it was one lane, and I mean, it was just one lane. And if somebody's coming down the road, you'd have to wait, you know, somebody else come through it. And it was strictly one lane, and they got to making them Greyhound buses. You hear a scrape, scrape, scrape. We go out there and get them little, they had little reflectors. We thought that was great. Put them reflectors on their wagon. Them Greyhound buses, drag them off there on that. I hadn't thought about that for many a year. That road don't even go there now. They made it to the woods. I mean, it's a good thing. When I was just a little bitty fella, Pearl got a job down in Aurora, and she worked for a family at a hardware store. And me and Pearl always was pretty good buddies over life. And she got this job, and she wasn't hardly making nothing, but they had a wagon, and it was made out of wood. And the back tires on it was dual tires. Can you imagine, Nelson, a little red wagon with dual tires in the back? And it had wooden stock racks on it. It's like a regular truck, you know, wooden, and it was a big, nice wagon. She got me that, brought it home. She told me later, she says, I worked months and months to get that paid for. I think it cost about $15. But anyway, our mailbox wasn't there. It was at least 2 or 2.5 miles up the road, where the road forked to go to. It was up there where Muncies lived. You know. We had to come down here, go up the highway, and go through a cement bridge, one lane bridge, and then go up a pretty good sized hill. Well, me and Check and Art, of course, I was always long. They was a lot bigger than me. We went to the mailbox, and of course, I had to pull that little wagon, that big wagon along. We got up to the mailbox, and Check said, let's see him. He got in the front and got a hold of the steering. Got Art in here, and then I was hanging on the back. Down that blacktop hill we went with that wagon. It was running free, just free as it could run. We got almost down. I don't know what we'd done. We had to go to that cement bridge. We got almost down there. The front tire, the front wheel run off down over the hill in the creek. It dropped off. We ended up all in a big pile. And I can never found my little wagon tire, you know. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing it fell off. We'd had to went through that there little wandering cement bridge. And going down the blacktop. All three of us on that wagon. And I can remember that tar. How in the world we going on that big bank down there? I didn't worry about getting all skinned up. Let's go. Wonder if we could get that tar back. The wheel. It was a whole wheel. It wasn't
Yeah.
the tar. The whole thing fell off. That was one little wreck. Chuck was in front. I guess he got the biggest end of the crash.
Tell a story about putting up hay.
Putting up hay.
That was a lifetime time. Huh? Still do that. There'd be so many stories, it'd be hard to tell when they'll.
Well, Ed got to do all the baling and we got to follow him and do all the picking up.
Who stacked it in the barn though?
Well,
I
whoever
did on
could,
quite a bit of it.
whoever could get it up there.
Yeah, it'll get bigger enough to, this was, I don't know, you guys was there probably. And all of the neighborhood boys like to, you could hire them and help bail. And we was bailing over along the road over there one day. And it's getting late. And we wasn't pulling the wagon. I was bailing the hay and dropping it on the ground so it'd be faster. You know,
Right, yeah.
all them boys pick it up and put it in the wagon. It's okay. I was going up there and it was almost done. Neighborhood boy up there, Lloyd Ball. You know how heavy set he was. Lloyd was up on the bank above me up there, and I was bailing along. All at once, here he come rolling down the hill, head over heels, just rolling backwards down the hill. Something killed him for sure. I don't know what it was. Scared me to death. I jumped. I set the tractor off and jumped up and run over there and see what was happening to Lloyd. He had picked up this big bale and threw it on there. And in that, there was a great big old black snake who had been in the hay. And that baler had baled it. But it only had about its tail was caught in the bale. And he turned it over to pick it up, and that big old black snake, when he turned the bale over, of course it was trying its best to get out of there. It flopped around in his face, and it scared that boy to death. He come rolling down the hill backwards. You remember that?
I don't never remember bailing any down there, but
It was down there where Randy planted them pine trees, or Doug, planted them pine trees. You know that little hill you just come.
yeah.
Lloyd was coming down the hill, he was rolling back. I thought sure something, really bad than what it was.
That's pretty bad.
But that black snake, it was underneath that bale. It wasn't, when he turned it over, it was trying to get away. I guess that's scary about it, wasn't it?
Tell about Mom sitting in the place where they fed the horses and they would eat them out.
What?
When
She
Mom was little, he'd go out and sit in the.
can't hear you.
Tell about Ed when Ronald was little, he'd go out
Oh,
and sit in the horses.
yeah.
And look out for them.
He couldn't even hardly talk, and Ron was, if you missed him, you'd be out with horses. And one of the horses was named Dick, and one was Doc. Or Ron's language was Ding Doc. Ding Doc. He wanted to go see Ding Doc. And if you missed him, he'd be in the barn. Well, there's a crib was up in the barn, way up in the, and he could walk up this hay and wake up and then reach back in the crib and get ear corn. He had his little arm, he'd get in there and he'd get ear corn. He'd go over to the horse stable, climb up and put that ear corn in their trough. They always had a trough to eat their grain out of. He would sit down there like that and put that ear corn between his legs and let that horse eat it. And that horse would be so careful, it'd root his leg up and get every grain. It'd be just as happy as he could be because that horse was.
Yeah.
Ronald.
Oh, that's wrong, yeah.
I
You
don't
remember that,
I
Ron?
can remember them
No,
telling about
you
it.
couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
I can't
You
remember.
did
That was
root-
still
you
over
root
at
your
Sunwood.
leg, your foot away when it wanted to get.
Yeah, Ron would
remember
put
some
that
of that,
ear
just-
corn
I guess just to hear them tell about it later on.
in the trough, and that wasn't good enough. He'd jump up in there and sit
He'd
down,
sit right
and
in
he'd
the
let that
trough.
horse eat
Yeah, that's
between
what
his
they
legs.
do. It's always
with you. I tell you another one on him. Nelson was just a little baby. He was just a little bit. I was plowing corn with the horses way over from the house. It was about off the farm over. And you sat on this cultivator and you had to watch the rows and you had some pedals and you'd pedal the tars. If you got too close to it, you'd just guide it with them pedals and the horses would walk on either side. I was coming up through here watching that corn, make sure it wasn't covered none up. We was a long ways from the house. And all at once the old horses just started spreading out. And I was looking down here. I was getting ready to holler at them. Instead of, I just caught my eye right up in front of the tongue. The horses started walking around. Ron was sitting in that corn row, right directly in that corn row, just sitting there waiting, you know. And them horses, instead of stepping on him, they just one went on either side. And I was watching here, you know. And I just seen him just before them shovels started taking him. He was just happy as he could be over there at the horses. So I picked him up,
Yeah,
dumped the horses, carried him all the way over to the house. It was pretty near half a mile over. And I got in, hunted Mom up. I said, Mom, where's Ron? Why, he's right here playing. He's right there. I just seen him. He always liked horses. He couldn't keep Ron away from the horse. And he had walked all the way over. He wasn't this tall, you know. How big would you have been when Nelson was a baby? Not very big, would you?
Nelson's a horseman.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I've got to go. I'm burning up.
Me too. But I remember when Ronald used to plow with the horse with
Yeah.
walking plow.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting up riding the horse and
He got to ride and I had to walk.
and I'd get
I'm
tired.
the rest of us.
I'd get tired and I'd just lay my head down between the reins and go to sleep. The old horse, they didn't care, didn't know I was up there even. It was like a fly up there or something, you know, so.
Matty was always wherever I'd be working, and Matty'd be there. So Dad kept some land rented way up the road. And it get dinner time, I'd set Matty up on one horse, and then I'd get on the other, and we'd go home to dinner. Get time to go back. She'd ride on. Didn't have no saddle. We rode on the harness. You remember that? Holding on them reins.
I was
Did you ever
always
dig
into
your own
something.
well?
Huh?
You ever dig your own well?
Dig what?
Dig your own well for water.
Check,
And Dad and
That
Chick,
was a
they
cistern,
done
wasn't it?
cisterns.
It was a cistern.
Cisterns.
Check and Dad, that's when Check had a sunstroke. And he was very sick.
They dug a one for Elmer.
Yeah, he was working in a cistern. He dug a basement and a cistern for Elmer, his brother, and when he had his sunstroke at the. Dad said they was digging away and towing the dirt out, and they said it was awful hot. He said Chuck never said a word. He was digging away, and pretty soon he shoveled his dirt out, but it didn't go all the way out. And Dad said, "Look, turn around, he's going to say something about that, you know what?" And then he just slumped over. He had that sunstroke. They didn't think he'd live then, but he's come right out of it. Got too hot down under the ground. And I'm going to get too hot. Wait, you getting warm?
I've been burning
Must
here
be
for
a
a
bright
while.
light.
Yeah.
We sure appreciate you taking the time to do this. It means a lot to us.
Of course, I was a pretty good kid. I didn't get into too much
No.
meanness.
Yeah,
I won't tell some of
We,
it.
we
Me and Mickey, I
wanted
mean,
to get Maddie, get her going at you. Her name was Maddie, you know, we call her Maddie.
you look like Dad's
And
hands.
if you wanted to get her going, really call her Maddie. You're Maddie. You didn't like that, did you?
No.
My name's Maddie.
Yep.
We always had a pretty good time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We had a good life. We went to a little one-room country school. Well, Dale went there, and one teacher, and our class, for some reason, our class, he was in the same grade I was. You'd have, however many students was in that class, you just sat in the schoolroom back in the seats, and the teacher would call you up to the front, and his desk all the way across here, and you sat in these seats here. There wasn't no desk in front of you, and he was on a platform up at his desk up there, and when our class went up there, it went all the way. You remember that, Dale? It'd go all the way across, and then the little seats on the sides. And some of them had one kid in them. Well, Maddie's class always had two or three.
Had two.
And our class usually had a dozen or so. You remember a lot of the kids that went there, Dale?
I got that picture, you know.
Remember I told you about running around the schoolhouse and somebody come and broke my nose? That's the guy that done it.
Do you remember, Dale, the time that McLean boy run into that stick and poked his eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Boy, that was some day. We was playing at school one day. The teacher, he played just like us. He was always one of us, and we was playing a game, and he tried to tag them. If you tagged them, then they had to be on your team. Okay, and the teacher didn't want on our team. He went on another one, and he was running, and there was a little space that's about this big in between the outhouse and the fence. It was outside, you know. He just couldn't get away, so he was just going to dive through there. Okay, he dived through there. Only this bob bar here, it started here and just cut him, his mouth and everything, always past his ear, just about cut him off. He said, well, the kids, you just behave. I'll have to go. He told everybody to behave, be good. Now, he went and got it all sewed back. He come back. As long as he lived, he had this awful scar. And from just playing, you know, there wasn't nothing wrong with that.
I can remember the one teacher we had up Oak Forest and the one
Yeah.
up there. He was something else. He was mean and he was everything, and he always parked his car out behind the school there,
Yeah.
you know. And we got mad at him, you know, and go out there and let the air out on his tires. And then he'd hire us to go change it for him.
Was his name Mr. Garrett?
I can't
Mr.
remember what his name was, but he was an ornery old guy. I mean, he had a club about yay long with about yay big around. And when he cut the limbs off, he'd leave it sticking out.
Sounds like you're familiar with it.
Yeah. Then he had a rubber hose. He'd come up and go right across your. You'd be sitting in your seat, and he'd come up with that hose and make you. You could have some pretty good sized whelps.
Do you guys remember, you was there, I guess, but Karen and Lynn, you know, went to school over there, and Pearl worked over at the school, up at the store, and
Yeah.
of course there's the highway there, and Karen and Lynn, their mamas worked over the store, and instead of sending them lunch, they just run across the road over there to the school, from the school over to and eat their lunch, and then to go back. Well, that was good. And some guy come driving through one day, and there wasn't much in place to park there, and he had a truckload of lumber, and he had a big long piece sticking out the back. That was fine. He parked there and come to the store. And they come, lunchtime come, and here come Karen and Lynn. They always had to run across that road, that blacktop. They come running across there. Poor little old Lynn, she didn't see that lumber. And she's running, and it hit her right here. Just bam, right down in the road, and there's a knot. You remember that knot she had for a while?
Oh, I can't, I don't remember.
I thought this about killed her. That dog, that piece of lumber sticking out of that truck was just high enough, it just caught the, it knocked her out, locked her back there on the back in the road. I bet she remembers it.
Do you remember?
Well,
No, I don't remember that.
I'm ready to
Yeah, we gotta get
call
out
it
of here.
quits.
Again,
Appreciate it.
we thank you very much.
I didn't have much to tell.
Not talk too much, so.
No, you don't. That's why we wanted you.
We just didn't do anything.
That's why we wanted you, so you could do the
Well,
talking.
that's what it is. I don't want to tell everything I do.
You know
Ronnie
more about
said-
talking than I do.
Ronnie said he didn't want to tell us things because you didn't know some of the things he did.
I know a few of them, I know quite a few of them.
Some things are better left alone.
We lived
Get in
over
trouble
on
yet
Salt
for
Creek.
doing some of it.
He said he might, still might get in trouble if he knowed some of it.
Yeah. We lived over on Salt Creek and Dad had a brother lived in Kentucky. And he had a boy my age. And
Okay.
he come over and he was gonna work in the tobacco and stuff and Kurt come stay with, he stayed about a year and a half with us. Ron was just a little fella. I remember Mom getting so mad at Kurt. Ron was pushing this little car on the floor, you know, going up, and Kurt, he didn't mean nothing by it, but he just kind of put his foot there. Ron run into his foot with that car and fell down and cut his mouth all the way open. Boy, Mom, she get mad when she get mad
Yeah.
pretty quick. She was mad about that, but Kurt, he didn't mean nothing by it.
Yeah.
But that boy stayed with us a year and a half.
That
And,
was Kurt.
Kurt, he told him, Dad told him, he said, if you ever want to go back, he said, I'll take you down to the Greyhound bus station. And one day, Kurt said, you know, he said, an hour to go home. Dad said, well, I told you, anytime you wanted to go, I'd take you down to Brookville, get you a bus ticket. They took him down there, and of course, me and him had been buddies for a year and a half. He's the same age as me. And there was never nobody's boys my age, you know, around where I was at. But anyway, he went home. 1 week later, it just took 1 week. Uncle Lewis got in touch with us, and him and one of his buddies went squirrel hunting down there. Come back in the car, coming too fast and hit a bridge button, killed both of them.
Yep.
But he
That was so sad.
yeah, it was, he was just one of us, you know, for
Yeah,
a year and a half, and
yeah.
then went home and lived a week.
Yeah.
That's part of life sometimes, ain't it? You remember him real well, don't you? He was good, Kurt was a good boy, wasn't
Yes,
he?
he was. Yeah, that really hurt.
Hey, Ed, I'm sorry you didn't make it to the musical group.
Wasn't cause you didn't try. That's one thing that they did in the
You're
school.
happy about
The school, we had a,
I can hear
song.
Yes, the dog all day. Get him started. It's not on the road.